All right, guys, I think we're ready to go. We got Ryan up here. So Ryan Chan, he's the CEO and he's the founder at UpKeep Maintenance Management. He's a chemical engineer from UC Berkeley, named one of Forbes 30 under 30 for manufacturing in 2018. Started UpKeep out of a passion and frustration by the lack of mobility in today's maintenance management software. So UpKeep is now deployed over 1,000 businesses and is a leader in mobile-first maintenance managed software. He became a member of the Forbes Technology Board 3 months ago. So he's just going to kind of take this opportunity to address us a little bit here, and hope we have enough volume that we can hear you, and hopefully you can see us and hear us if we've got any questions or comments. So I'll kind of let you take over, Ryan.
Awesome. Thanks so much for the introduction. Welcome and good morning. I guess it's morning for us. It's lunchtime for you guys. Hope you guys are having a great lunch. Thanks for the introduction. Looking forward to chatting with you guys today. I'm going to go ahead. Sorry?
Can you see us?
Yeah, I can see you guys. Awesome. All right, so today I'm going to go through a quick presentation that's purely focused around maintenance technology adoption. So I'm going to go ahead, present my screen. Can you guys all see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. So today we're going to talk about 10 things that can make or break software implementations. And this is really focused around maintenance facilities and our operations. Again, as Danny mentioned, you know, I live, breathe this world. My core job was thinking about how do we improve our process around a manufacturing plant. And I think I learned a thing or two and would love to share those with you guys. Cool. So a little bit about who I am. As Danny mentioned, I went to Cal Berkeley. I was a chemical engineer there. I was also a former process engineer at a company called Tricep Manufacturing. We built and manufactured membranes for reverse osmosis, a little bit of brackish water. And my entire day was thinking about, hey, how do we improve our manufacturing line, drive reliability at our plant, reduce downtime, and streamline the entire workflow from, you know, one job order, one issue, all the way to completion. One of the processes that we were trying to improve was our maintenance operations. So I was part of the team to help implement and deploy maintenance software as an end user. Saw a lot of struggles with our implementation process. Saw a lot of struggles with the technology that exists out there for folks out in this industry, you know, us, you guys. And I wanted to build an entire company on this mission that, hey, we're going to build software that's focused on mobility, that's focused on our actual end users. And that company ultimately became, you know, what is today UpKeep Maintenance Management. As Danny mentioned, part of the Forbes Technology Council. To date, we've raised over $13 million in venture capital. We've implemented our software across 10,000 businesses, including a few that you might know, including Unilever, Yamaha, USDA, Jet.com. And, you know, for you guys, also several hundreds of churches around the nation, facilities, manufacturing plants, all the likes. So it's been an incredible ride. I'm here to talk about, again, you know, technology adoption in this industry. So I won't dig too much into, you know, who I am. I think it would be also really important to talk about a little bit about what is UpKeep as well. So just to give you a quick premise, UpKeep is one of the leading mobile-first maintenance management systems that was born to help maintenance teams drive reliability at their plant and at their facilities. And our core mission is really to help simplify the days, lives, and jobs of maintenance teams instead of adding in additional process. So to put this into perspective, and I'm not sure if you guys align or resonate with this, but me working in a manufacturing job, when we would have an issue come up at our facility, we'd get phone calls, text messages, emails. We get stopped in the hallways. And we'd have sticky notes when we come back to our desktop. And so when we implemented this new software, we would still get all of those emails, text messages, but then at the end of our day, we had to come back to a desk and retype all of our notes back in. So instead of making our days, lives, and jobs easier, this technology actually made it more difficult. And so core premise of UpKeep, we want to help simplify and streamline your day. Based here in sunny Los Angeles, California, and we've been named one of the #1 maintenance management systems across Gartner G2 crowd. We've been named one of the fastest growing companies in the nation. And we've got over 100,000 people that use our product every single day, which is absolutely amazing to showcase the impact that we've had on this business or on this industry already. I guess the last final plug before I get into talking about technology adoption is we've actually got a free product that you can download either on the App Store, or you can sign up on our website if you visit us at www.onupkeep.com. All right, that's a little bit about me, a little bit about the company. I'll jump into first, why is technology adoption important? So it all starts with the question of what is implementation, and what have I seen and what have we seen across all of the customers that we've tried to implement. So firstly, to me and to us, implementation when deploying out a new system or new software at your facility, to me and to us, it's this delicate transition period in which your business is onboarding to new systems and software. This is really important because this is going to help make or break the entire deployment of technology. We consider this to be one of the most important phases. What we also know is that a lot of management teams, you guys included, spend an average of 60 days researching new maintenance management systems to implement at your business or at your facility. But 39% of maintenance management software deployments end up in failure of adoption. So what this is telling me and what this is telling us is that it's really important in this decision-making process to find and research the best technology to help streamline our days, lives, and jobs. But ultimately, almost, let's call it half of implementations actually wind up in a failure of adoption. So that's really challenging. So this entire presentation is focused on how can we increase our adoption through our end users. And so what technology adoption means to me is we're going to see a higher increase in productivity. We're going to get better visibility into who's doing what, why are things happening. We're going to have reduced downtime for our equipment, and ultimately better regulatory compliance. So all of these 4 points, really, really important. If we have a successful adoption, it can mean a lot to the business, a lot to your facilities, a lot to your operations. So that's just a little bit about technology adoption, why it's important to me and to us. And I kind of kick off this presentation with, this was done through a study or a research survey across 250 different facility managers about the challenges they faced during software implementations. And so what we came out of, we came out of this with basically 10 key insights, and I break it out into 5 do's and 5 don'ts when rolling out new technology and new software to your team. At the end of the day, what the key insight and hint is if we focus on our end users, that's going to ultimately set us up for the best long-term success. All right, so I'm going to start off with a little bit more of the gloomies of the 5 not to do's when rolling out technology and rolling out implementations. All right, so the first one that we often see is don't go into a black box by yourself when rolling out new software and new systems. So what that basically is saying is we need the entire team around you to make a successful implementation. We see a lot of failures from adoption when you say, all right, I'm gonna go and research my own solution that I think would be best for me, but we forget about the rest of the team behind us. So we always say, don't purchase in a silo, make sure you get group buy-in. And it's really important to collaborate, get feedback from your end users very early on in the process. So just to repeat this one, again, when you're deploying and choosing software, involve the entire team. Don't go into a black box. And try to try to choose just for yourself. The second do not do is don't set it and forget it. What we always say is software technology is not one of those things where you purchase it and then you forget about it. What we want to do when we choose a new system is inspire adoption and explain the why behind it. Why is this important to us? What is this going to do for us, our team? How is it going to make our days, lives, and jobs easier? How is it going to allow me and us to get home earlier and do our jobs more effectively? So when rolling out software and choosing technology, it's really important to inspire adoption. What we always say too is that software is not a passive data collection tool. It's an everyday activity. We need everyone to help input data into the system. So again, we can get the data and insights that we need to make decisions to streamline our collaboration and workflow. The third point here is really focused on the data. You know, for us, if you put garbage data into a system, into technology, into software, then you're gonna get garbage data out of it. You've probably heard this term quite a bit from different categories and industries, but I really feel like that's true for us in technology and when choosing software to roll out. So what's really important is just putting data that you can trust into the system. And you do this through, again, inspiring adoption, ensuring that people are using it, and ultimately making it a proactive tool to help you drive business decisions. The fourth one here is just constantly monitor and improve it. My background is in process engineering and process development. And when I think about that, it's always thinking about how do we constantly improve. It's not just, you know, hey, we're going to do the same thing and do this, maintain status quo. We want to constantly improve. So we do this through continuous monitoring and improvement. The third one is don't forget training. When rolling out and choosing software technology, you know, don't forget this training aspect. What we always find is that, you know, every single team is busy, but I promise you, when you make this a priority for the long-term good, when you make this a priority in the beginning, it is ultimately for the long-term good of your company and for your entire team. Training as well is not just a one-time thing. It's not just, hey, we're going to do a 3-hour training in the first week that we roll out this new software, this new technology. It's a constant thing that we do every single week. And if we have this mindset of constantly improving and being better than we were last week, this training aspect will be critical and core because it's never going to stay constant. The third point here is really that there's a big learning curve to technology. There's always a learning curve to new systems, new deployments. But I promise you, again, if we go through this process of constant improvement, it will be worth it. So don't forget the training aspect of rolling out new software, new systems. All right, this one might be a little bit of a plug for me and for us. But ultimately, it depends on the industry that you guys are in and that we are all in. But for us, you know, working in maintenance and never sitting at a desk, it just doesn't make sense for me and for us to buy desktop-based software if we're never sitting at a desk. I know my job, you know, 90% of my day was sitting out on the manufacturing floor. So it really just didn't make sense to purchase desktop-based software. You know, where technology is going and where the future is going is ultimately in mobile-first technology. So what we always say is, you know, invest in mobility. My guess is that your teams likely spends 90% of their day not sitting at a desk, and you know, whether they're, you know, out and around the facility or out and around the roads. You know, it just, again, you know, have that focus on mobility and focus on making their days, lives, and jobs easier where they're spending the bulk majority of their time. So again, it's really contextual when purchasing software, but remember to keep it in the end user's perspective. Am I buying software for me? Am I buying software for technology? Am I buying technology for me, or am I buying it for the folks out in the field? who use this solution and this tool every single day. What we've also found is that techs out in the field are 30% more productive when you're given a mobile device to do your work and their work. Again, it cuts down, it reduces communication gaps, it reduces double, triple entry. So essentially what happened for me is we would write things down on a piece of paper and pencil. That pencil and paper would go into this desktop-based software, and that would get traded through, you know, this double, triple entry process. When you're given a mobile device and you're given one single line of communication, that ultimately brings everyone together and reduces the complexity and ultimately reduces communication gaps that you have within your team. Again, when we're purchasing mobile software, you know, that focus on training and education is super important. All right, last don't, and then I'll get into the do's of implementations in software. The last one that we often see is don't innovate if you don't have the basic fundamentals of reliability at your facility and you know, within your group. Again, this is not to say that we don't have it. It's more to say about we view technology and adoption as a crawl, walk, run approach. And we always start with a crawl, we always end with a run. But there is a process, and what we always say is, you know, there's so many different shiny objects in reliability and facilities management. There's so many of these very cool new technologies, but we always say to our customers and prospects, is it's really important to get the basic fundamentals down before we start going to the, you know, industry 4.0, machine learning, big data, all that good stuff. So start with a crawl, walk, run approach. What we also see very often is complicating your process from the get-go ultimately just makes deployment harder and everyone's jobs more difficult. And so when we deploy software and choose technology, it's really about how do we find and get value out of a system as quickly as possible. What we often see is by overcomplicating this process in the beginning, what happens is you reduce that, you lengthen that time to first value. And so when you can start seeing value in that crawl approach, your team is going to start realizing, wow, this is making a big impact on my day and my jobs. All right, so a little bit more of the positive things, the 5 to-dos when rolling out software and technology. All right, so the first one, again, alludes back to training, alludes back to a few of the other points that we made earlier, but ultimately, explain the why. Explain why software, why we are choosing this software. Explain the why behind this technology that we're implementing and rolling out. For me and for us, software is not just a tool to track text for tracking purposes. What we always say, you know, our software and our technology is for, ultimately enables you and your team to get better insight through the data that you capture through technology and software. I think that this can be misconstrued in so many different ways that, hey, you know, this actually adds in additional work to my day that I have to log it on a phone. But ultimately, what we want to do with technology and adoption is make the days, lives, and jobs easier for everyone using this system. And ultimately, utilize that data, consume that data to drive better decision-making for our entire group. The third thing here is, you know, the why behind it is to really showcase the impact that your team has made. What we often see is that, you know, if people and our customers are working off of paper-based systems, there's no way to pull up a stack of, you know, 30 work orders that were all done on paper and say, this is what we did last month. And so what we want to do is flip the conversation from, you know, here's a bunch of paper and this is what we've done, to let me pull up a report and show you the KPIs that we track you know, within our department and our facility. And this is how we've improved these KPIs over time. Again, I'm very, very passionate about this. The why behind, you know, technology and software, especially in our industry, is so, so important. I think the other thing that's really important to me is over-investing in recognition. I think maintenance and reliability is, to me at least, is one of the few departments where if nothing happens, that's actually a good thing. And I think the counter to that, though, is working in this industry and maintenance reliability is that we often get swept under the rugs. That basically means if we do our jobs really well, there are no fires. That basically means if we do our job really well, that equipment is not breaking down, facilities are well maintained, and a lot of the times that goes unnoticed. So what I want us to always remember is overinvest in recognition, because maintenance reliability, this is one of those departments that don't get brought up to the limelight and the spotlight too much. And so us being in this industry, we know the fact that this is true, and we have the opportunity to start making these investments in recognition for our team and each other. So a big shout out to everyone here in this room as well for choosing this industry. It is a tough one, but again, I think this community that we have is so important. The third one, and I think this also helps with this recognition piece, is setting up weekly cadences, weekly meetings that basically just talk about what we did, what we could improve on, and what are some of the blockers. We see this to be very impactful for teams and ultimately improve accountability across the entire team. I think this is an amazing opportunity to start to recognize the work that your team is doing on an ongoing basis, and also another opportunity to continually train and improve the entire team. The last point here with these weekly maintenance backlog meetings is really about helping you set intervals so that you can identify struggles, blockers, roadblocks within the team that people are having. Again, it goes back to my mindset of how do we reposition maintenance to not just maintaining status quo, but flipping it to constant improvement. So really important to set up these weekly backlog maintenance meetings that talk about recognition, challenges, and also the road ahead and how we can improve. The fourth point here is really about establishing KPIs and tracking them. I alluded to this point of, basically maintenance not being able to, not often seeing the recognition that I think you guys and we all deserve in this space. And one of them is because one of our KPIs in this industry has always been, how fast do we respond to a ticket? How fast do we put out a fire? But I want us to flip the conversations to not go from how fast do we fix something to how much do we maintain reliability at our plant, and how proactive are we? In the beginning, it's not so much about tracking what the absolute numbers are, to be honest. It's ultimately that, in the beginning, it's ultimately that we know what our KPIs are, what we are measuring, and we know how to track and improve these things. So it doesn't matter whether that's, the schedule, your schedule compliance. So, how many preventative maintenance jobs do we do on time or before they're due? It doesn't matter whether it's uptime of your equipment, downtime of your equipment, mean time to failure. Ultimately, it's just that we know one KPI that's something different than just, how fast do we respond to a fire? And ultimately change the conversation to say, I just want us to be better than we were last month. Again, it goes aligned with my view of changing maintenance to just maintaining status quo to how do we constantly improve. Really passionate about this. And I think we do this through better data collection, through setting KPIs, goals, and ultimately running towards that and constantly improving. The last one might be a little bit of a cop-out, but it's really about starting today. Choosing software, choosing technology can be a daunting task. Rolling it out to the rest of the team can seem like a huge challenge. I know that we're constantly overworked. We've got 20 million things that we'd need to be doing, but time in the day to only do 10. Ultimately, I believe that if we start today, this is going to be one of the things that will ultimately help us get to where we want to be faster, even though it takes that additional time and input today. What we've always seen is this time to value is one of the most critical core components to successful implementation. And again, it's not trying to boil the ocean. It's not going from, nothing to a million. It's about choosing that one piece of equipment, that one recurring issue at your facility. Choose that one thing that you keep, putting off servicing every single week. And we start there. Choose that one small team, that one piece of equipment. We start there. Identify the biggest risks, establish KPIs, and ultimately, that's the best and easiest ways that we can start seeing value. And if we do that, I believe that we'll have an amazingly successful implementation. Again, whether you choose to go with UpKeep, whether it's a different problem, whether that's a different technology at your facility, I think all of these kind of apply regardless of what it actually is. I'll do a quick review of the 5 don'ts and the 5 do's, then open it up for any questions. And then I got one last plug in here as well. So the first not to do is don't go into a black box by yourself, get group buy-in when choosing software and technology. The second one is, don't set it and forget it. It's a constant improvement. The third one is don't half-ass training. Training is really, really core, really important to the entire team. It's not just a one-time thing. It's a constant training process for the entire team. The fourth one, don't buy desktop-based software if that's not where your end users are. Focus on trying to make their days, lives, and jobs easier. And I guarantee you that'll also make your days, lives, and jobs easier as well. The fifth one is don't innovate if you don't have the basic fundamentals of reliability. Again, it all starts with a crawl, walk, run approach. Number 6 here is explain the why. Explain the why behind choosing software, choosing technologies. Explain the why behind why it's important to your facility and why it's important to your department. Overinvest in recognition is number 7. Again, maintenance, reliability, facilities. This is one of the professions where, if you do your job really, really well, no one comes up and talks to you. Again, that's not a bad thing. It is the nature of our job, and that's what we all signed up for. And that is one of the core components to this industry. Number 8, a great way to invest in recognition and training is through setting up weekly maintenance backlog meetings. Number 9, establish some KPIs. What are our goals as a facility management team? And ultimately track them. And maybe the third point here is improve them, aim towards improving. The last one here is ultimately starting today. That time to value, incredibly important. And those are 10 things that you guys and we can all do when rolling out new software and new technology that I think will set you guys up for success. Any questions?
And Ryan, how many people do you have using that in your operation? We're a little varied here. Some of us have a significant staff. Some of us are probably on an island by ourselves in our organization.
I mean, yeah. So from what I heard, how many users, is our typical customer, and does UpKeep work? Does this type of software work, whether it's a single facility manager or a large team? For us, we build software that's pretty ubiquitous, whether you're a single facility manager trying to field in 100 requests a day, or whether you've got a larger team of 10 to 100 technicians that you're dispatching across different geographic territories. Our software, the system that we've built, and also our customer base varies quite widely. What I ultimately say for this premise is, like, it actually doesn't matter if you're a single person. I truly, truly believe that using technology and using software can help and streamline the entire process, whether you're a single user, whether you've got a team of 100 even. So I genuinely believe that. Hopefully that helps answer your question.
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Awesome. Any other questions? Any other thoughts, comments, concerns?
Anybody else have any questions? I think we might be good, Ryan. Can you send us a link of how to get into your app if we wanted to?
Absolutely. I would be more than happy to. Again, so I'll follow up with a link. You can check us out on our website too, if you remember this. I know you guys are all eating lunch though. It's www.onupkeep.com. You can also download the app on the App Store too, if you just search for UpKeep. Again, I'll follow up via email to send you guys over the entire presentation and also a direct link to the App Store and also our website. More than happy to do that.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Ryan.
Of course. Cool. I've got one last plug. We talked about recognition in facilities management and maintenance. We started this blog. It's really core and important to us as a business to help celebrate and recognize, what we call heroes who basically help support and sustain our world. I mean, to me, that's you guys. So we started a blog for this. What we do every single week is we feature one person, whether it's you or whether it's someone on your team. Would love to feature you guys. If you go to this link again, we'll send it to you in an email format. But if you would like to nominate someone that you would like to recognize, either someone on your team or a peer to you, please do it. To me, this is so important, so critical to our company's mission, is just promoting the work that you guys do that often goes unrecognized. So again, thank you guys all for your time. Would love to feature you. Thanks again, and hope you guys enjoyed it.
Thanks for your time. Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks, guys.
That was great.